welcome one and all. Just going to apologize if my skin is looking pink or red. For some reason, my camera makes me look that way anytime I wear something that's pink or red, and I'm wearing something red today, so obviously that is why that is happening. Anyway, as you can tell by the title, today I will be talking about Star Wars and why I am giving up on the franchise. And if you clicked on this video thinking it was going to be a video canning Star Wars, then I am sorry to disappoint you, because that's not what this is. I have been a Star Wars lover for my entire life. My brother, who was born the same year Star Wars was first released, introduced me to it when I was a kid, so I've grown up loving it. But in recent months, my love for it has rapidly diminished, and in all honesty, it has nothing to do with the films themselves and has everything to do with the studios and the trolls who call themselves fans, but mostly the trolls. After the release of The Last Jedi, I had decided not to do a review. It was clear the audience was very divided, with some loving it and others hating it, but both sides were producing people who were vicious towards others who dared have an opposing opinion. Those who were thrilled after having seen it made their shock and disgust very apparent by attacking those who dared to have a different experience. Of course, the people who walked away hating the movie took the same approach towards those who enjoyed it, responding to them with the same shock and disgust, which eventually escalated from insults and curse words to threats of violence and bodily harm. Both of which are just utterly ridiculous. Not wanting to end up on the receiving end of either party, I chose not to do a review after I saw the movie, which I still feel is one of the best decisions I have ever made. Now, I didn't love the film. I ended up giving it a rating of 3 out of 5, which is above average. There were things I enjoyed and things that had me continually going, what the fuck? And my brother seemed to have the same response. Considering he has been a Star Wars fan for the past 40 years of his life, this was the first time I'd ever seen him walk away not enjoying a Star Wars movie. But being that he is still a fan, he did go and see it a couple more times. When The Last Jedi finished its run at the cinema, I thought I was home free, no more Last Jedi bashing or praising posts or articles on social media. But then the Han Solo movie gets released, and once again, here comes the Last Jedi bashing. It's been several months since the film was first released, and people still won't let it go. It hasn't just become old, it has become flat out annoying as hell. I had intended to see Solo. I wasn't thrilled that it got made. I did find it completely unnecessary, but I was going to give it a go anyway because I enjoy Star Wars. But before I had a chance to see it, my Twitter was filled with people canning it for superficial reasons, which in turn prompted people to resume their Last Jedi bashing, which to me seems like a waste of time. I still had considered watching it until the news of a Boba Fett Solo movie was released, and that for me was the final nail in the coffin. When studios decided to do a Star Wars prequel trilogy, I was okay with that because it meant getting answers to my questions such as how did Anakin become Darth Vader and why were Luke and Leia separated at birth, and these new trilogies gave me that. I know a lot of people don't love these movies, and that's completely okay. I saw on Twitter the other day a woman defend them, saying her young son loves those movies because in the first movie one of the central characters is a young boy like himself, and also because he found Jar Jar amusing, which frankly I did too. It made me realize one of the reasons I didn't mind the new trilogy was because it was doing for the new generation what the prequels did for me, allowing a new generation to have their own Star Wars experience. Sure, I grew up watching and loving Star Wars, but it's a whole other experience to be alive when they come out for the first time. I got to experience that when the prequels came out. I remember going to the movies to see them. Perhaps that's why I defend them so much, aside from liking them. So in turn, I can understand people who were there when the originals came out being so protective of them. That's your unique experience. Just like how a song can trigger an emotion or a memory, movies can do the same. While I still feel the originals are the best and I can go back and watch them and still enjoy them, I found that enjoyment to decrease over time with the other movies. I saw the prequels a handful of times, and while I enjoyed them, after those handfuls I felt I'd gotten enough out of them. With the newer films, I haven't loved them or been wowed by them. Rogue One told a compelling story and had a ballsy ending, which while devastating was also very necessary, but still after watching it once I didn't feel like I needed to watch it again. I didn't particularly enjoy The Force Awakens. It had some good moments, but I never had an interest in watching it a second time. I did watch it a second time because I didn't remember it, and then I watched it a third time before I went to see The Last Jedi, and those 2 extra viewings hadn't changed my feelings about it. I had the opportunity to watch The Last Jedi again. I had it in my possession but passed because there was nothing about it that made me want to watch it again, unlike the originals where I feel like I could watch them once a year and never be sick of them. My issue with the new trilogy is that I don't feel the story adds anything or is necessary. The current trilogy and the spin-off movies feel more like the studios realized they could make far more money by continuing to produce more Star Wars movies, whether they were relevant or not. These don't feel like stories that need telling. It just feels like a studio after our money, and I don't like that. There's also the expression too much of a good thing, and well, I feel like Star Wars has become too much of a good thing. We see one after another coming out, and with the current movies emulating so much from the originals, it just further makes them feel unnecessary. If you're going to give us more Star Wars movies, then I'd rather they be entirely new and not copies of the original. Even if I were to enjoy these recent installments, I would still feel they weren't necessary. So studios are one reason for me giving up on the franchise. I said the other was toxic fans. In anything in the world, the moment poisonous people come along, it can ruin it for everyone, and it has indeed ruined it for me. Aside from the fact you can't seem to have thoughts or feelings about these movies without a group of people hating your guts, the way some people have reacted towards the director and the actors themselves is utterly repulsive. The director has received countless death threats. Kelly Marie Tran, this sweet, lovely human being overjoyed by the once-in-a-lifetime experience of being cast in a Star Wars movie, receives hate, racist comments, and various threats of physical harm. And for what? Because she did her job? So what if you don't like how the character was written? Has her performance impacted your life in any way? Has it caused a tax increase? Has it caused you to lose your job or house? Has it resulted in devastating floods or earthquakes? No, because someone acting in a movie impacts the rest of our lives in no way whatsoever. Just the other day, a video was going around of an angry Star Wars fan who hated The Last Jedi so much he went out and purchased an action figure collectible of Rey so that he could record himself struggling to rip it apart. This person is evidence we are de-evolving as a species. Not only does the attempt to destroy an action figure fail to reverse the fact the movie made $1.3 billion at the box office, instead he has just given the studios more money because he had to go and purchase the item in the first place. What do they care what you do with it? They got your money in the end. All he has done is show the world what a moron he is. I don't condone violence or hatred towards people who don't deserve it. People just trying to do their jobs are in the category of those who don't deserve it. It's just a movie. Its existence has not damaged any of us in any way. I didn't love it, but my world didn't end because of it. Watching people I know who are good people being attacked for no good reason because they dared to be individuals with their own opinions sickens me. We are capable of having views and having civil discussions. One person's opinion does not mean your experience will change, but being open to hearing their opinion might make you more open to understanding people on a deeper level. Imagine the level of discussion we could all be having if we just accepted the fact not everyone thinks as we do. When the Star Wars prequels came out, social media did not exist, so those who loved them were safe from the hate of those who hated them and vice versa. But now social media is here, and it is here to stay, and it is aiding the dichotomy between people's opinions. Social media gave us all a voice. It taught us that we are all entitled to our own opinions. What it didn't give us are the skills to learn when not to share those opinions. As someone once said, opinions are like assholes, everybody has one. That's very true. We all have them, but sometimes the better option is to keep things to yourself. Just because someone shared their thoughts on the internet, which they have every right to do on their pages, does not mean you have to go to them and tell them you disagree with them and that they are wrong for no reason than because you said so. What would be smarter is to keep scrolling. The amount of energy wasted on hating people or arguing with people could be better spent on far more productive things. People don't seem to be aware of the impact their words can have on people. There is only so much hate a person can take, and you don't know these people or what they're going through. What if that last dose of hate is one dose too many for them? I loved Star Wars my whole life, and I will continue to enjoy the originals. I will even continue watching them in the future, and while maybe I will never watch the prequels again, I will still love them and the memories they gave me. But I am done giving time and energy to a franchise that has become less about giving us new and compelling stories and more about making a profit, and I will no longer be associated with or victim to people who call themselves Star Wars fans when the only thing they do is spend their time trashing the one thing they claim to love. And this goes with most things in general. When I see something around me becoming toxic or having a negative impact on my life, my instinct is to detach myself from it, and the Star Wars fanbase has indeed become toxic. From both those who hated it and those who can't stand the fact that people hated it, either way, I wish everyone would get over it and move on with their lives. It is just a movie. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to me go on. I'm glad I finally got that out of my system, which has been building up for months. I did have certain things I wanted to mention in regards to the prequels and elements in them that enhanced my love of the originals, but that seemed a bit off topic, so I didn't go into that. But thank you again for watching this video, and whether you agree with me or not, I don't care. No number of negative responses to this would change my mind. If anything, they may solidify them even more. The only thing I will ask before I leave is that we all be kind to one another. Kindness and compassion are free, so give all you can. Hate towards one another gets us nowhere, and on that note, I say, until next time.